We close off August with the great anticipation that leads to the start of the next month, September. For us here in Jamaica, that eagerness is linked to the fact that the early days of September have become tied with back to school, the preparations, and the longer hours in traffic-lined roadways. As you do your prep for tomorrow, however that may look, today's Jamaica Magazine will also contribute to those efforts. So keep watching the show to see our list of feature lineups. I'm Theodore Henry, and I'll meet you back right here after the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, August 31, 2022. Legislation for the deposit refund scheme for plastic bottles should be ready by the end of this financial year. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Matthew Samuda, gave the update on Tuesday during a virtual plastic forum. He announced plans for a legislation-backed deposit refund scheme during a presentation to the Senate on June 17 as a means of increasing the percentage of plastic bottles collected for recycling. The current scheme, which is voluntary, provides a cash refund to consumers who return their plastic bottles after use.
The issue is so big that we cannot leave it to those who feel like being good citizens. We will legislate it. Judging from my colleagues' nod, we will have the votes of the opposition to support it.
Minister Samuda says this will require collaboration among some critical agencies to ensure it is done seamlessly, causing no disruption to supply and production and without triggering further inflation. The minister is also proposing a plastic collection competition between government and opposition members, where each political party will mobilize their base of supporters to see who can collect the most.
That is a way for us to show the country, A, maturity, and B, that the political doctrine around environmental protection and management is moving from infancy to maturity. That, I believe, will send the right signal.
Senator Samuda adds that as the country moves to improve its environmental and waste management, the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act and the Wildlife Protection Act will be amended. The Green Economy Investment Strategy will also be tabled in Parliament. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, is finalizing plans for a contractual arrangement with a private waste management operator to remove garbage in the corporate area. Mayor of Kingston, Senator Delroy Williams, says under the arrangement, the operator will roam the streets and ensure that specific areas are cleared of waste regularly. He was addressing the KSAMC's annual Shelter Management Conference, held at the Scouts Association of Jamaica headquarters recently. The mayor says this development will ensure that public spaces are kept clean. In support of that, he says a trapping and extracting system is now in place at 4 gullies to prevent plastics from entering the Kingston Harbor. This is being done through partnership with the Grace Kennedy Foundation and others and is to be expanded to 8 other gullies. It involves interceptor barriers being placed at the mouths of gullies which trap and remove plastic bottles, styrofoam containers, bagged waste, and large household appliances. The system is most effective during wet months when rainwater pushes debris down the gullies, but the interceptor barriers remain in place throughout the year. Meanwhile, recurrent issues of flooding and security in the Newport West business community in Kingston are being tackled by several government ministries and agencies. A meeting was held recently with business operators and a high-level government team. It was led by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang and Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie. Dr. Chang says the meeting was necessary to hear the concerns and get a first-hand look at the drains and to assess how they are impacting security, as well as future expansion of businesses.
Our port is one of our most vital, in fact, could be considered the most vital economic infrastructure in this region. And the physical characteristics and the security features are crucial to continue the growth and development and expansion. Can see signs of growth, but we see the challenges which we have to correct if we're going to maintain that growth.
Meanwhile, Minister McKenzie says dialogue between the government and investors has been ongoing, and the visit provided further information for actions to tackle the issues.
We will continue the dialogue that we've been having, and out of the dialogue we'll be working on a schedule as to how to deal with the many problems that exist in the area. But I'll be coordinating with the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation through NWA and NWC and the other agencies to put the program together. So we are looking forward to some positive results in the weeks and months to come.
The Maypen Hospital in Clarendon has received donations valued at more than $1 million to improve the quality of its healthcare services. The donations include a laptop and desktop computer valued at $446,000 from Dr. Ivana Thomas, medical doctor and philanthropist. The Korea International Cooperation Agency KOICA Alumni Association Jamaica chapter has also provided 4 wheelchairs, a portable oxygen cylinder, a hospital bed with mattress, 3 digital thermometers and a pulse oximeter at a total value of $697,000. CEO of Maypen Hospital, Eugenia Clark James, says the items will have a great impact on the health facility's customer service. Dr. Ivana Thomas, who was a student doctor at the hospital years ago, is encouraging others to give back and help improve the care and services offered. President of the KOICA Association, Andre Lindsay, says it's hoped that the donation, based on the hospital's demands, will go a long way. And finally, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is on a path to receiving ISO certification, which will make it the first ministry in Jamaica to do so. Minister of State Dr. Norman Dunn says the ministry has been recommended for ISO 9001-2015 certification following a recent certification audit.
At the end of July this year, we participated in our Stage 2 certification audit, and we have been recommended for certification. So we look forward in receiving our final results shortly, which I'm proud to note will make this ministry the first ministry in Jamaica to be certified.
Dr. Dunn, who was speaking at the recent ISO certification ceremony for the Public Procurement Commission, is encouraging all of government to embrace certification. He is also urging private sector bodies to engage the agencies of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to discuss international certification and accreditation. According to the minister, this offers opportunities for increased customer retention, revenue and growth, as well as new markets, enhanced productivity, and the other benefits that come with adopting high international standards. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school, and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
As a parent or guardian, financial preparation for your child's education is very important. But that can take many forms and be tailored to your financial capacity. Our first feature provides some financial tips that are easy to understand and to follow.
Hello everyone, I'm Xavier Campbell, an educator, financier and entrepreneur. Education is very important to our development and can take years to achieve the highest level. It is also very costly, and some persons will have a difficult time finding the money up front, especially in the absence of careful financial planning. So, within the next few minutes, I want to share a few steps that will guide your approach to financing your child or children's education. Let's start with, when should we begin that financial planning? According to the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Although there is no perfect time to begin planning for your child's tertiary education, starting as early as possible is the best way to ensure you are prepared financially and avoid the common pitfalls. Having a step-by-step plan is the best way to ensure that you are able to finance your child's education without sacrificing your personal financial plan. There are several things to consider when planning for your child or children's education. However, most notable among them are parents must identify the future costs of tertiary education and have a clear sum in mind of what their target will be. Then work their way backwards to present and see how best they can earn to realize the future goal. A clear financial plan should be put in place either by the parents themselves or with the help of a professional financial planner. The discipline is what follows the plan to ensure that all financial objectives are being taken care of in terms of allocations and meeting the various timelines set out by the plan. Once all incomes and expenditures remain in accordance to the plan, by the time your child reaches maturity, their tertiary education funding would have been readily available to offset the costs associated. Now your options could be savings or investments. Both are good, but let's look at them closely. There are basically two ways to make money. One, you work for money. Two, your money works for you. So savings is the process of putting aside a portion of your income for future use. In this case, we're talking about education. So if you're going to save, you need to put aside some of your income to ensure that you're able to offset the cost of your education in the future. While investment is you putting money aside that will generally earn interest over the period of time that you put it aside for. Therefore, having a plan inclusive of savings and investments can put parents in a better position to offset the future expenses of education. Firstly, if you're not financially literate, I would advise you to seek assistance from a professional financial advisor to ensure you are getting qualified advice that will help you achieve your goal. Here are the 5 steps of planning your child's education. Step 1, set target date. Step 2, find current cost of the education. Step 3, find target amount. Step 4, estimate the returns you can generate. And step 5, calculate the monthly contribution. Here are some additional things to consider. A partner plan is a very good thing. Creating a savings account and/or fixed deposit. Invest in one of the various educational products available from a preferred financial institution. And maintain your discipline while ensuring that the projected amounts are allocated at the appropriate time to achieve your financial goal effectively and efficiently. One of the most common mistakes that parents make is that they think that they need this large lump sum. But as the Jamaican proverbs go, every mickle make a muckle, so therefore they can start small and then build onwards. Now another mistake that they normally would make is the fact that they think that savings alone would help in terms of offsetting the costs in the future. What I would recommend is for them to use a culmination of both savings and investments in order to achieve their financial goal. So the first disadvantage I want to speak about is the inability to set financial goals. So you not being able to set goals will also lead to you being demotivated and lack the knowledge that is required to achieve that goal. And as a result of that demotivation and that lack of knowledge that is required, then there is no direction. So we consider it to be a lack of direction, right? And if there's a lack of direction, then what will happen is that poor financial outcomes will be the result of that. In concluding, planning for your child or children's education is not just dependent on the numbers. Rather, it's a combination of several factors, namely social, personal beliefs, religious, your way of approaching, and general outlook at life. However, the cost of education on a rise. Parents are looking at various investment vehicles to secure their child or children's future. Judicious planning for your children's future is essential, and empowering them with an education plan is a wise thing to do. Start to reap maximum benefits very early. Create a sustainable future for them to bloom in.
Good morning.
Hi, Dr. Chu, how are you doing?
I am fine, thank you.
I see that you're fine. I see that you're
I
fine.
am headed out though.
I see that. Well, we'll head out with you.
Okay.
So you can get ready, and we definitely will just be having a quick chat.
All right,
So
so
you
give
can-
me a minute. I'll go and get my stuff.
You know what happened? I'll be following you.
All right, no problem.
I'll come with you. Dr. Chu, I know that everybody starts their day in a particular way.
Yes.
What would you say are your morning rituals, the things that you must do?
I'm an early bird. I get up early every morning. By 5 o'clock I am up and I listen to my morning inspiration. So I turn on my phone to Nationwide and get the morning spiritual inspiration. And then most times, not all the times, I go jogging with my husband to get my exercise in.
Tell us, what do you do?
Education is really about life, living. And my task really is to ensure we operate a smooth, effective education system that will enable our boys and girls to be their best selves. I have the best job in the world, but the most difficult.
Tell me the most difficult decision you've had to make this week. And you could probably share what the decision was.
Wow, I make tough decisions every day, especially when it comes down to resources, making the best use of resources for our country. Now, just yesterday, we have been meeting with the World Bank because we're looking at an education mission. And we have to decide on how to utilize the limited resources to treat with some capacity building for our teachers. Now, you know that the education system cannot surpass the quality of its teachers, but we have teachers in service and we have teachers who are considered pre-service. Now, I've had to make the decision with respect to who gets the resources. Do we improve the teachers who are being trained, or do we treat with those teachers who are currently in service? Now, that was most difficult because both categories of teachers are important to the transformation.
Dr. Chu, there are different things that inspire individuals. Who or what has inspired you lately?
You know, I'm really inspired by those with whom I work with and those that I serve. When the students do well in their areas of talent, when I watch the Boys and Girls Championship, when I watch the scholarship ceremonies, when I watch the students in their dance form and their art forms, that really and truly inspires me.
What is Dr. Chu's legacy in the public sector? What would that be? What does that sound like? What does that look like?
Wow, that's a big one. Really, what I would love to know at the end of my tenure as a leader, that all our educational institutions are performing above satisfactory. Now, that's a difficult task, but it is not impossible. Right now, I have 243 schools that are deemed unsatisfactory, and I am committed to seeing those schools move to satisfactory and then take them to good and excellent. That's the legacy I want to leave, because that means students are getting the best education program possible and getting the opportunity to become the best persons that they can be.
I'm sure with the demands of your job, you travel different places, you go different places. What's the most interesting place that your job has taken you to?
You know, I've been to China and I've looked at their education system as part of a study tour. And what was most impressive for me is the discipline of the students. Now, I got a chance to see the teachers moving away from the classroom into a planning session, and the students moved into self-directed learning. I'm really hoping for the day that we can see that happening in Jamaica, where our students can take self-directed learning to another level. That is going to be very, very important to maximizing and learning time and extending the learning support that our boys and girls need to become their best selves. So that's something that I found interesting, and I'm moving for that to be a part of Jamaica's education system.
Can you say anything in Chinese?
Xie xie. It means thank you. I learned that. That's the only thing I could say over there.
Recommend one book that you'd want everyone to read.
Well, you know, when I got the opportunity to lead the sector at this level, I figured I needed to improve in my leadership. So John C. Maxwell is one of my favorites. And so How to Lead Successfully, the 5 Levels of Leadership, that's a book that I'm reading. Now, to be honest with you, I don't get the chance to do it as much as I want, but I get to put in a few pages each night to examine my own style of leadership and how I can become better. Because to move this system is not about your positional power. It's really about the influence and how persons believe in your capacity to deliver and what that does for them. That's very important, and that's part of the levels of leadership that I'm taking myself on, and I will recommend that as a good book for any leader, because the truth is everything falls and rises on leadership.
Dr. Troop, this is where we say, have a great day, and as you learned, share.
Thank you too, and I'm late for my meeting. Bye.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
We did mention more traffic on the roads in September, and this, unfortunately, could mean more collisions. If you happen to be caught up in a collision while driving, here are some tips for reporting a motor vehicle crash.
You know how they say accidents do happen, unexpectedly and often unintentionally. Though road safety experts no longer define these unfortunate incidents involving motor vehicles as accidents, they're certainly never intended. Unfavorable weather conditions, objects on the road, your miscalculation while driving, or another driver can cause crashes, even for the best defensive drivers. That's exactly why it's important to know how to respond in these situations. So, what do you do at that exact moment? What should be your next steps? And when and how should you file a police report?
For the number of reports that come to this station, perhaps it's on a basis of about 10 to 15 per day. That's the number of accidents per day. So after a road traffic accident, person should first try to clear the roadway if they are obstructing the traffic for other motorists. Secondly, drivers are expected to exchange vehicle documents, and the documents should include their registration certificate, certificate of fitness, insurance certificate, and your driver's license information. Those are the essential 4 pieces of information that should be provided to both parties after an accident. Contact information is optional, but you have cases where a person tries to settle outside insurance, and that's now a civil matter. It's an agreement between both parties. So if they want to exchange contact information, that's also optional, depending on the intention that they have in terms of fixing the vehicle outside insurance or what.
Your next step? Making a police report about the collision. This is always a good idea. That way you have proof of exactly what happened and the scope of any injuries.
In terms of our approach as police officers for a motor vehicle accident, first the critical thing is to check for injuries, make sure that persons are okay. If there's a need for persons to be assisted to the hospital for any sort of treatment, we should make sure we render assistance to persons in need of that care first. Secondly, we check for the damage for the vehicles, make sure there is no obstruction along the roadway, and then we can treat with the document or the exchange of particulars between both parties. After making a report of a motor vehicle accident, the next step that persons are advised to do is to make a report to their insurance company, and that's for another motorist as it relates to a pedestrian persons who are injured. They are also advised to get the assistance of an attorney to file a personal injury claim against the party that is liable in the accident. For follow-up visits, what we do, we have cases where persons are seriously injured, some of which are not able to make it to the station to give a report in the first instance. So what we try to do, whether the persons are hospitalized, we ensure that visits are made and that the person's conditions are updated as we go along. As we through the investigation, we ensure that the person's conditions are updated along the procedure.
But are you always required to report traffic collisions?
Not in all cases a report must be filed for accidents. We have situations where it could be a very minor mishap. For example, someone could be reversing from their garage, they could bump their gate. So in those cases, it's not necessary for them to make a report. But for other situations involving another motorist, or a case where a pedestrian or a property is damaged, a report is expected to be made because persons at times are expected to make claims, whether from their insurance company or their attorneys, based on the damage received or the injuries they've sustained.
On a more global level, studies from the World Health Organization (WHO) show that approximately 1.35 million people die each year as a result of road traffic crashes, and 3% of most countries' gross domestic product is spent on road traffic crashes.
The most common cause of motor vehicle accidents, from my understanding, it's mostly impatience on the part of some of the drivers and lack of knowledge as to how the roadways should be used. And I also believe the implementation of traffic signs at various areas would also aid the process, because most drivers are not aware of what to do at various parts of the roadway.
In the face of such figures, even the most careful driver can suddenly encounter a bit of bad fortune on the road. You know that saying, decisions can be like car accidents, sudden and full of consequences. So how about making the right decision to be responsible road users today?
We close off today's magazine by imploring you to look forward to tomorrow, a new month. Create possibilities and walk into some promising expectations. Let's work to design the future we desire. We love sharing information with you, and our website is loaded with more. So engage with us by simply visiting www.jis.gov.jm. From the production team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.